Okay, so I just finished my second year at the University of Sheffield. So I have a few logos around my face. The first one's Migrant Leaders. I don't think I would have been as confident as I am now had I not gone into the program, because one, two, it helped me build up experience, but not just any experience. I joined into the experience section and went out and like joined, participated. But that was only after I'd got into university. The best thing, though, I would say is that you can use the experiences for university and beyond. So you can put it on your CV. I use them same experiences to apply for the Jaguar Land Rover placement I have now. So don't think it's a waste or it's just for like a specific age group. This is like experience you can take with you for, I'd say, the rest of your career. I've also seen graduates go on them placements and then get offers for jobs through the migrant leaders experiences. So I really promote it a lot. Underneath the University of, then there's the University of Sheffield Crest. Underneath that, there's the BAME Engineers Society, and through that, I did a lot of outreach. I'm in the process of building an app to help people get into engineering, in the sense, in the worst case scenario that you don't have a family background in engineering, so no one's had any formal educations, and you're from abroad, so you don't know what the British education system is like. And then because of my work through the society, I won the runner-up for the Emerging Young Leader Award by the Institute of Leadership. And exciting news, in the end of September, I'll be going to speak in the House of Commons. Next slide, please. Okay, so right now, if you're in year 12, you're going into year 13, you want to build experience, you want to find out what you like or you don't like, and you need to get your applications down. Or I would say, build up your experience over the summer. Come September, start writing your application. Aim to have it done by October. I know everyone will tell you that it's not a first come, first serve. But if you've looked at shows like The Voice, just think about it in reasonable terms. I have 50 offers. Pretend. I have 50 offers to give out. Applications start from October to January, the end of January. If I see really good people and I give out 15 of my offers between October and November, I don't have that many to give out at the end. So the competition is a lot more fierce for any university, for any subject, if you come and like apply near the end of the timeline. I'm gonna go into it later on with the application timelines and when I feel like it's best to apply. But just keep that in mind. It is a first come first serve, so it's nice to be prepared in advance. Finding out what you like or don't like. Don't think you need to know. I want to go into mechanical engineering. I want to go into aeronautical, because no one knows. Even I was confused. I applied to mechanical engineering at the start, actually, but it's okay to not know, but use this time to find out what you do like. In year 13, you want your grades to be good. You want to apply in good time. So I talked about that already. Your assessments, it's only relevant to, from the what I know is Oxford, Cambridge, and Imperial College. So maybe some of the like London universities, but up north there's no assessments for engineering. What you need to know is second year maths and physics, second year and sometimes beyond. For Cambridge and Oxford, it's beyond, but for Imperial College, it's just second year maths and physics. You need your personal statement, and then for CV and cover letter, that's just if you wanted to go for an apprenticeship. Next slide, please. Okay, I put this at the start because before we go and do anything, we need to make sure that we're working in the right way. So a lot of things I have seen is that when, even in all students that I talk to that come to the end of the university like career, not career but studies, they're gonna go into like a workplace now. But one of the engineers I spoke to, she talked about how if she hadn't done enough working time, she'd stop. Like she wouldn't sleep and she wouldn't eat or drink anything until her work is done, and then submit it at the end. So focusing on what you say and the actions you take. What you say is when you did something silly, are you gonna like, for example, I miss buses all the time. I get lost very often to the point where even though other undergraduates found their way in the Gaydon site, I took an hour to find the building and then went on FaceTime and like called another person and to ask them to come and find me because that's how lost I was. And it's sometimes when I have a disability too. So when situations like that happen, sometimes you can be mean to yourself. You can think, "Oh, I'm so stupid. Everyone else has got it. Why haven't I got it?" So one of the my little sister actually told me this, but the best quotes I've ever heard in my life was, "Don't compete where you can't compare." So in terms of my disability, it takes me long to process information or understand things, and that's fine. But when I acknowledge that I have a disability, I'm not comparing myself to the people that don't and saying, why didn't I get this when they did? You understand? Same with like academic achievements. When you go into university, most people's backgrounds are with parents that have education, and you shouldn't be comparing yourself to them. Um, so, and for example, when I do something silly, if you ever meet me in person, I will consistently say, "Oh, I'm so funny. I did this today." I will never say, "Oh, I'm so dumb. I'm so this," because whatever insults you say to yourself, it builds up over time. And when you see how people treat you, it's based on how you treat yourself rather than you know how everyone says treat other people like you want to be treated. It's not really applied. It's more people treat you the way you treat yourself. So if they see that you're insulting to yourself, they would know that if they insult you, they'd get away with it. That actions you take is more of the sacrificing your sleep, sacrificing eating. Make sure you take care of yourself. No one's going to take care of yourself but you. Yeah. Next slide, please. Okay, this is my way of setting goals. I'm very good at achieving a lot of things at the same time. I do a lot of things at the same time. But first, I set goals for the year. I split my life up into categories that I think are important. So this is like an example of what I have. I literally have sheets on the wall. So it has my goals, long term, and then it has 3 steps I'm going to take. I'm going to go into step 2 after. So right now, you write your goals for the year. In this year, I want to apply for universities. This would be your example. So for the school section, you'd be like, I want to apply for universities. I want my predicted grades to look like so and so at the end of year 12. I want to figure out what kind of engineering I want to go into. I want to be able to choose a university at the end of the year. Yeah. You might be like, okay, I want to start going to but that means you can balance school and gym and even the person you want to be when you grow up, and you can achieve everything as you go along. Um, the person you want to be, I feel like that's the part everyone misses out. For example, if you want to be consistent at the gym, I'm a very impatient person, and I didn't realize that that was the problem of me not being consistent with exercise. And then when I realized, oh, I need to be patient, every time I didn't feel like doing it, I'd be like, no, 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 I'm a patient person. Then I used to head off to the gym, but it really works for me. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so step 2, after you've got the goals that you want to achieve, how do you actually go about doing them? You think of 3 steps that you're going to do you're going to try and do consistently. So whatever goals you have, you're going to achieve them in a sustainable way. 3 baby steps, not 3 big things, not yeah, baby steps that you can do from today. And then when they're consistent or when you finish them, another 3 steps. But make sure you get to where you want to be, and it's because you've broken it down into 3 baby steps, you know how to make a start. Because the hardest part of doing something is making a start. Next slide, please. Okay, UCAS timeline. For early applications, your deadline's mid-October. For you, it doesn't really matter if you send your applications in near mid-October or right at the start. But I have heard of people sending it in come September. For every other application, I would say do it by the Christmas holidays. I don't think you should leave it till the end of Jan. And I know that the people who did leave it till that late didn't get the universities they wanted, because majority of them are filled up. They start giving offers back early on. Not just, I know you're thinking early applications is for Oxbridge, but as an Oxbridge, like I applied to Cambridge when I applied to universities, but I got my offers back before the December deadline hit. So that means some offers have already gone out and not everyone has even applied. So just bear that in mind. Okay, next. Oh wait, hold on. Um, if you haven't received an offer by April, just assume that you've been rejected. I didn't ever have a response from Bath, so I just assumed I was rejected. UCAS Extra is a pre-clearing that not many people people talk about. So the entry requirement to go into UCAS Extra, you need to have all 5 rejections, or any offers that you have, you need to reject them, which is a gamble. It's a big gamble that apparently I had the confidence to take. The clearing plan, so the clearing is from early July to results day. The most you can do is make a clearing plan, and then on the day, call or email the universities you want to get into. That's it. Next slide, please. This is a bit more about UCAS Extra. So when you, okay, so you've got your 5 rejections, or you've rejected the offers you have, you're in UCAS Extra now. This is between April up until July, before clearing starts. When you're in UCAS Extra, you put an application for one course at one university. You wait until they've decided. If they said no, you put in one application again. It's a gamble to get in, and then once you're in, you only have one choice. If you are undecided about what you want to do before you go into UCAS, I would say put 3 applications in. You can always add the 4th and 5th choice after, but if you're that undecided, or you really don't know, I would rather you not have to go through UCAS Extra and like play gamble, and like be able to choose more things safely, or add on to the choices you already have. But yeah, next slide, please. This is my journey. I had a series of unfortunate events, but let me tell you about it. So first, I didn't know what engineering I wanted to go into. I said mechanical. Mechanical covers everything. I'll get somewhere. I knew I wanted to go into a car company and like the automotive sector, but I wasn't that um, adamant about a specific degree. Although, fun fact, the University of Sheffield is one of the only universities that does free pilot training with their aeronautical engineering degree. But so I applied to mechanical engineering at Cambridge. For the Imperial College, I applied to mechanical engineering with nuclear engineering, which had my heart because I thought that's an Iron Man degree right there. Like I'm gonna come out like Tony Stark. I applied to Bath because I needed a 5th option, and I didn't know that you can leave stuff blank. And I applied to Leeds and Sheffield. In Leeds, I wasn't a fan of just because I would be forced to stay home. So I'm from Bradford, and my goal was I want to move out. I don't want to be at home. And in Sheffield, I'd been there once, but it was hilly, and I didn't really care much of the other 3 options. Cambridge, I applied because my school pushed it hard, and Imperial College, that was where my heart was. So the offers I got was from Leeds, Sheffield, and Cambridge Clearing. So that means when you're from under a disadvantaged background and you apply to Cambridge and you get to the interview stage, you can get to the interview stage based off your personal statement, not based off your assessment. My assessment, I didn't even know they had an assessment. I found out 2 weeks before. That was clearly not enough time to revise. And so, yeah, so my assessment didn't go so well. I got rejected, but they said because I got to the interview stage, which not everyone gets to, and I was from a disadvantaged background, they let me go into the clearing. So if I had achieved the grades on results day, I would have got into Cambridge. Cambridge is very academic. For engineering, they do have some sort of placements that are given with the university, but it's it's very tough. It's very tough. One of my friends goes to Oxford in Cambridge, Oxford for engineering, and he covered my some of my year 2 materials in maths and physics in his first year, and they move on very fast. There's a lot of support, but yeah. So for example, there's a lot of people dropping out. Suicide is also something that happens quite a lot there. So just think about the environment you want to go into, and like the amount of stress that's there and pressure that you want to put on yourself. Rejections. Bath never got back to me. Imperial, I got rejected after the interview. Cambridge got rejected after the interview. So what I did was I was like, I don't want to go to Leeds. I don't want to go to Sheffield, because I researched into this is the point where I researched into other universities, and I was like, Manchester's apparently better for mechanical engineering, so let me go there. So I applied for mechanical engineering with Manchester, got the place, so I got an offer from there, and but just in case, I made a clearing plan, just in case I didn't get 3 A's. So on your results day, if you so I had 4 subjects. I did further maths, chemistry, physics, and an EPQ. And apparently, so an ABB, sorry, and Let me think of the equivalent. So yeah, an ABB isn't equivalent to. Okay, I'm just gonna use my example because it's easier. For four subjects, an A star ABB isn't equivalent to three A's, and that's weird to you because you're like, doesn't the A star cancel out the B? But sadly, no, it doesn't. You need exactly what they want or above. So if I did four subjects and I got two A's, one B, and one A star, if it wasn't three A's, my example is really bad. Just ignore what I'm saying. Use my example that's written down, please. If you don't get three A's or above, you're not in, regardless of how many subjects you take. Boom. Clearing. I applied for mechatronic and robotic engineering through Sheffield. When I read the description of the degree, I was like, damn, this is what I wanted to do because it had everything in there. They were like, we'll teach you the electronics bit of it, we'll teach you the programming. So my degree is a mix of mechanical engineering. We do 3D modeling, we make the parts, we put the parts together. We'll do the electric circuit and the Arduino programming or with microcontrollers, and that's where C programming language comes in. And then we'll do the actual coding, which is like the computer science bit, which is more Python, and to build user interfaces for what we're using. The most recent assignment I had was a burglar alarm with Face ID. We had to do the requirements like it was a burglar alarm that was to be in England, like used. So, for example, the UK law says you can't make have it ring for more than 20 minutes. It has to cut out, and we had to implement it as like a real burglar alarm system. Okay, next slide, please. So a clearing plan, and what does it look like? On the top, you have your name and UCAS reference number. Um, Starting from the highest, most possible achievement, like achieved grades you could get, you put the grade requirements. So you have the course title, university, grade requirements, and the UCAS code for the course too. And you do that, and you need either a phone number or you need a website link. I like putting it on the notes in your phone so it's easier to access. I would say share it with whoever's available on the day because the phone queues are very long, so you're going to be in the queue for a while. And then why wait when someone else could wait for you? um, yeah, if you want to have accurate predictions of what grades you might like achieve, keep notes on how the exam went the night, like the night of, like after the day, the evening of that day. So like have a gap, because the second you come out, you're gonna remember all the questions you did wrong, and you'll be like, I flunked. And then in the evening, you'll be like, oh wait, I remember the questions I did right too, and you'll have a more accurate prediction. Next slide, please. So your personal statement. I wrote quite a few. I'm gonna answer a few of the questions people had before about writing about two different subjects. So in the ones that I wrote, I have an event or aspects that interests you. For my friend that went into Oxford, I wrote his personal statement too. So his was, he went to a science fair. He saw there was this like famous scientist on YouTube that made something. That was the event that interested him into engineering, and there was a specific part of whatever he made. And then his further paragraphs were just explaining about how he went to create, like he looked into what it was. It was like a gyro, I think. Then he tried to create one of his own, and then like that. So mine was, I like the iterative process in engineering. Like you can never get it right. There's always room for improvement. And then your second and third paragraph explores what you mentioned at the start. The last at the end have like a little sentence or two about what you like doing. Big no's for like for personal statements would be to not list out your subjects that you do and how each subject relates to the course, and do not describe the course. These people know what the course is about. They don't need you to tell them. Also, the personal statement, the format is going to be changing from September 2025 onwards. So it's going to turn into three questions. So it's going to be, would you want to study which course and subject? Then it's going to say, how has your qualifications and studies helped you to prepare for the course and subject? And what else have you done to prepare outside of formal education? And why are these experiences useful? It does flow with the same. So, for example, right now I'm saying to you, don't write about the courses you've done and like how they help you prepare for the course you want to apply for. But in the new format of personal statements, that's going to be useful. So there's a bit of discrepancy or big changes that are going to be happening. So just bear that in mind. At the end, I think this was a key part of every personal statement I wrote. So I would say, what would you change or improve in the industry you want to work at? work in. So I'll be, as a future this engineer, I want to, so you've explored, a lot of times I would explore a fault in the industry or something that needs improving. So then I'll say at the end, I want to change I can't remember what I wrote, sadly, but I want to change a certain aspect about engineering. I remember a law student and I wrote his personal statement, and he wrote at the end about how he wanted law to be more accessible, especially for people who, like prisoners or from disadvantaged backgrounds that don't have the money, like they can't afford a lawyer. And he was like, I want to grow up to be a lawyer that represents other people that might not have the like ability to pay for a lawyer. But yeah, if you are going to talk about two subjects, the most, I was going to say out of pocket, but the most two different things I've wrote about is it was a data science course and also a farm. It's not a pharmacist, but it was like a beauty course. I think so. I think it was a data science and pharmacy, something like that, along them lines. Completely different courses. But how would you write a personal statement that links both of them? You find one similarity between the two. You say, I like data science because all of this. So at the beginning, mention both subjects. In the first paragraph, write about what you did for data science, focus on data science only, and introduce the linking aspect between the two subjects. Second paragraph, explore the linking aspect and then go on to the second subject, like that. And that's how you would relate to. Next slide, please. Building up your experience, migrant leaders slay. It's the best thing you can do for your experience. You can use it in your CVs going onwards. The Sutton Trust have pathways to engineering, medicine, and law. So it's like a little program that you can join in year 12, I'm sure. And I didn't do it myself, but I know of it. Speakers for Schools, they have insight events. So I did one at Bentley and I found out more about them. The Forage have stuff experience that might be relevant or irrelevant. Just make sure you check who it's meant to be for, because I remember I did one for, I think it was electrical engineering, and I didn't know how to do any of it. And then I found out later on it was for university students, and I was like, that makes sense now. Spring Pod is good for experience too. These are all online experiences except from the top two. Bright Network have good insight events. They also, you will use them throughout your time at uni to apply for placements and graduate roles too. I would recommend a placement to anyone doing engineering. It's one of the few ways you can guarantee corporate experience before you go into your graduate role. And for a few companies like Jaguar Land Rover, they have a guaranteed graduate job after. And a lot of engineers that I know, there's like a year or two waiting period after you finish your degree before you get a job. And we don't want that. No one really looks for that. Everyone just assumes the second you got your degree, you've got a job, but the application process is tough. Future Learn courses and university events, and you can find these from their websites. They have research events, so they'll explore a topic within the course. You can learn more about the course, one, and two, you have something to write about in your personal statement. You can say, I found this event interesting, and how great would it be that your dream university, you've done a course that they've done, that they like presented. You'd be like, it's more personal to them. But yeah, someone asked about books and how you find books that relate to the university. There was questions at the start, and I took a picture of them. So if you go into Cambridge or Oxford specifically, look on their website. Right in the course or subject you're looking at, they have a reading list for every single subject, and all the other universities follow suit. And this isn't for just engineering; this is for any subject. But yeah, so that's my biggest recommendation. If you are looking for books, that's the way you would think of the, like, just pick one of the top three, I would say. But reading books isn't necessity. I did, in my personal statement that I ended up applying with, I had everything and anything, and because it was so like full of stuff, it was a struggle to fit everything in. But yeah, next question please. Next slide, sorry. Okay, bursaries, grants, and scholarships. These are three keywords that all mean free money, and that's all you need to know. So they're not a loan, so you never pay it back. Bursaries are usually need based. So, does your household income, is it less than £40,000 a year? Something along them lines. For University of Sheffield, they do it through UCAS. So the second you apply for UCAS, they already student finance. The second you apply for student finance, they know about your household situation and they'll give you it based on that. Usually, bursaries are £1,000 a year across a lot of the universities. I know it might be different for London, but that's what it is for North. Grants, they're funded by organizations and they usually want something after. So, for example, a grant is by for engineering would be by the army. There's a few, and they'll say, okay, they name it a scholarship, but it's more of a grant in the sense that they'd give you money, but they'd want you to work for them at the end or do a minimum term of service for them. Scholarships, that's based on academic merit. So if you get 2 stars and an A, they'll be like, wow, you got more than 3 A's, I'm gonna give you some money. Yeah. So for my course that I went into, for any female student that got more than ABB, I think they had £5,000, which is sick. Anyways, there are a few websites to find them, but I forgot to include the link. Though if you search on Google, they should come up. Application tip: whatever reason you have to be disadvantaged, my parents are from abroad, they don't speak English, they're uneducated, anything you have, this is the time you tell people about it or you use it. So anytime you apply for any sort of extra free money, make sure you include every single reason you're disadvantaged. I'm from this place, what your parents are like, if you have caring responsibilities, if you have a disability or not, if you have a like uh, learning difficulty. My brain just paused. But yeah, so usually university websites have finance sections, so you can look into what they offer and also how you apply. Some have separate applications, some are built with student finance. One of the things I want to recommend is zero gravity. Right now, it's so the whole idea of the company is that you go into it, they give you a mentor who's a university student studying your dream course at your dream uni. It's not the most accurate, and I can't guarantee you're going to have a nice mentor that will help you out, unlike migrant leaders who they have solid mentors. Right now, if you do 5 video calls as a minimum, you can get the opportunity to apply for a scholarship, which is £1,000 a year for 3 years. And I've got the scholarship too. So if anyone does try it out and then wants help or needs advice onto what to write or how to apply for it, just let me know. Next slide, please. Apprenticeship timeline. So if pretend you want to go to apprenticeships, what are they? What they're about? When do you apply? So there's different levels of apprenticeships. I would say the only ones you should look at is level 4 to level 6. Level 6 is like degree apprenticeship, but on the higher end, like an honors degree. Honors is if you got 2-1 or above. So degrees are in classes. You have a first class. That's how they grade degrees. So first class is top 70% and above every single year. Not every single year, in the years that counted. And they count the second year and the third year, but no one counts the first year of uni in your grade at the end. You just need minimum 40% in every single subject to pass. And you're allowed to resit. Some universities let you resit once, some twice. So double check with that before you go in. So degree classes first is at top, 2-1 is second, so that's usually around 60%. 2-2 is around that you got 15 years, 60%, and then third is that you just about pass, so it's 40 to 50%. Level 4 to level 6 are degree apprenticeships. Level 5 is in the middle somewhere. Level 3 is A levels. Level 2 is GCSEs. I do not want to see anyone coming out of their A levels to say a level 2 apprenticeship, because why are you getting an extra GCSE? There's no need. The application open, like the window is September to April. You will not see any application, like you will not be able to see any applications open. You're not going to be able to apply for anything outside of them times. What you need, or how it works, is first you put your CV and cover letter in. Might ask you a few questions. Why did you apply here? Like name, age, gender, stuff like that. So usually is what made you apply here, why you think you're best for the role, and what kind of impact you can have in the company. That's the 3 big questions that usually ask at the start. Logic and reasoning test, usually online, rarely in person. The only person I know that does it in the only company I know that do it in person is TPP. That's for engineering. I'm going to go through the questions later. And then assessment center is, oh, assessment center is important, especially for engineering. They're going to make you work on a group project most likely. It might have a small like maths and physics test, but they usually, that's separate. And then they take you into a big room, group of people, and they'll say, do a task together. Are they looking for who's going to win that task? No, they're not. You can lose. Bear that in mind. Don't think, oh, I'm here to win it. As long as we win, that's fine. They're looking for how you treat other people. Are you inclusive? If someone's shy, if they don't speak English, my best tip for people who don't who aren't confident in English, learn their language. Say hi, my name's whatever your name is, and you're gonna butcher it. Me, the Chinese, is my by far my worst. I can do Malaysian, I can do Arabic easily, but any any European countries, can't do German, can't do French, I'm going to butcher it. But I say it. So then when they see me saying it wrong in their language or attempting to practice theirs, they're more confident speaking English with me, even if they get it wrong. So I've showed them, listen, I'm fine. If I embarrass myself, you're more likely to embarrass yourself in front of me. They're looking for how you communicate to other people, especially in terms of disagreement. One of the questions on my interview was, in a group setting, if someone stood up and said, I have this idea and you didn't like it, what would you say to them? Like how do you respond? And I said, if I don't like the idea, it doesn't work in a specific situation. So I would say, out of genuine curiosity, no sarcasm, I would ask them, I'd say, what about in this situation? And then they'd figure it out on their own, or it doesn't work, and they'll sit down, and then I can say, oh, let's try this instead. So it's not outwardly disagreeing with someone, it's not knocking anyone's confidence down. And the third thing they look for is contribution. But notice how inclusion and communication are on the top, and contribution is like the third aspect. They want to know if you work well in a team more than the outcomes you produce. Last but not least, they have an interview. They look for your personality. For my interview, I made really pretty slides, and I said to them, my biggest contribution in a team is making it look pretty at the end. And that was my exact words. And they have a mix of technical and soft skill questions. So technical would be, can you code this for me, or how would you go about this like technical problem? They'll say, this is a 3D CAD image, what's wrong with it, something like that. Soft skills is like, tell me the last time you showed the quality of leadership. When's the last time you worked in a team, and how did it go? What's your biggest contribution you've had to a project, like that? And be very careful. Sometimes when they word questions, you might not know it's about soft skills, but my biggest advice would be, so in the assessment center, when they look for inclusion, communication, and contribution, those are the three things that you keep in mind when you answer any interview question. So whatever they ask you, you link it somehow to how you were inclusive, how you communicated well, and how you contribute to the team. Next slide, please. So where do you find apprenticeships? You can look at company websites. They're going to have a separate early careers page. So sometimes the careers page is different to early careers page. You can search up the company and then Degree Apprenticeships UK. And these two websites at the end. One is so Apprentivia is just for advice. They usually, I think they have a YouTube, and then Pentago is the website's closed. Can't speak. The website's closed right now. It opens in September when apprenticeship season opens. You can search on both. You can search who offers apprenticeships and apply for them. Pentago is a bit better because you can search by sector or location, and Apprentivia is the same as the Pentago. But Pentago also has a community where you can ask for help. So it's basically, think of it like a student room, but for apprenticeships. The QR code is a link for the free community that Pentago runs. But yeah, next slide, please. Okay, so I have examples at the end. Stay away from formats for CVs. Don't be scared that you don't have proper experience. Every experience is experience. If you worked in retail and you dealt with difficult customers, that's experience. That's like you communicated well. You were able to keep calm. That's experience to look for in a workplace. On the right is how it's usually laid out. So name, contact details on top, personal profile or objective. You just say, I'm a this student or whatever you've accomplished to this date and what you're looking for. I'm looking to apply for challenging roles. Da, 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 da. You have education, you have experience. my advice is to not include interests or hobbies because it's a gamble and it sometimes works out, sometimes doesn't. There's a man on LinkedIn. His name's Mick Flaherty. I used him for university events. He runs free CV classes. If you need his help, pop into a session, and then just ask. Don't be shy and just chat and ask. It's okay. Next slide, please. Cover letter is a letter. So you have to format it as a letter. Don't send like on the slide. I've just done dear hiring manager, but you need the addresses too. So I said the way you lay it out for an apprenticeship would be why you chose a company and how they align with your values. I'll kind of tell you how to answer this. One example I have, so for Jaguar Land Rover, I said I looked at your annual reports, you were doing well over time, and I want to go in a company that I can stay with long term. So this it was relevant to me, for example. But do you see how I've said something good about the company, how I went in and researched it and then linked it back to what I'm aiming for and how it links to me? And that's how you would answer that question. Second is why you're the best fit. So this is where you put your experience in and then say, so I say, I researched into a project you're doing. I know you're doing this technically, and this is my technical experience that links to what you're doing right now, and I can make an impact in there. Nice. And then at the end, you'd say, any concerns and reassurance as to why they shouldn't be concerned. An example might be you would say apprenticeships are tough in the sense that they have you have to work and you have to study at the same time. So you can say, I've done so and so in my A levels. Alongside my A levels, I'm good at juggling stuff. That would be your example. Next slide, please. So, what to prioritize at university? For engineering, your experience matters over your grades. It's okay if you don't get a first class degree, you just need a 2-1. For positions at Jaguar Land Rover, you need a 2-2 or above. So, the grades is really not as important as the experience. Personal projects count too, and I would have a big push on personal projects. If you were applying to apprenticeships in particular, if you didn't have any real engineering experience, look at the company you want to apply for and have a personal project that uses the skills that you need to go into the role that you're looking to apply for. So if they say they want someone that can use CAD, have a personal project where you did something that used CAD or that specific software that they're using. So get involved in whatever in university, in societies, everything pays back in the end. So, the way I'm speaking at the House of Commons or whatever awards I got is because of the things I was doing in societies. So it wasn't really important as part of my degree, but it really helps build I would say, reputation you have. So when you apply for when you apply for roles at companies, they're gonna look at your LinkedIn, they're gonna stalk you a little bit. But if they'd be like, wow, this person's doing a lot of things, it looks good on them as a company to have you at their company. So it's one of the other reasons they choose to get you in. Um, First year is the easiest year. Keep that in mind. It's gonna seem tough, but it's meant to be the easiest year. So when you go into second year, don't think, oh, you know what? This is what I thought. I thought, you know what? I got first in first year, barely revised. Second year, here we go. It was not the same. This first year to second year jump is the biggest jump you'll ever see. And a lot of people say A levels is the hardest thing that you've done. They're lying to you. They're lying straight up. Um, you just need 40% plus in the first year, so take your break in first year. If you're thinking after A levels you need a gap year, you don't. I would say take your first year. If you're only looking to take a break after, and that's the reason for your gap year, then I don't think that's a good enough reason. I think you should go into first year because first year is only 40%. Next slide, please. Any questions? I'm gonna look at chat actually because I saw a few pop up. So, how do you recommend dealing with a potential rejection from your dream university? For me, I didn't deal with it that well. So, in the sense that I gave up and I stopped trying to get grades because if I had tried, because I was like, you know what, at this point in time, even if I didn't revise much, I'd get into a university. And since I didn't get into my dream university, I don't really care because I know I'm gonna get into one anyways. It's good to care about your grades. Your mind and your heart changes as you go along. So no matter what you were dead set on, you'll think of something else by that time, but you don't want to limit your options by not trying for the grades just because you didn't get into the dream university you had at the start. Next, Stefani, are there any websites, videos, or podcasts that you would recommend for mechanical engineering? There's no specific one I would So this is what I mean by going on to universities and seeing the events they have. I would say stay on top of whatever innovations they have within engineering. It's a good topic to have in any interview that you go into. Um, but there isn't. The thing is, don't think there's a set way to do anything. There's a billion different ways you can get into the same role. So experience wise, as long as you got the right websites down, or no one thinks you need to listen to a podcast, you need to have a book. I thought you need to have a book, podcast, and experience. You don't need all three. You can have just experience, you can have just a podcast, you can have just books. It's fine. One of my friends, which is key to mention, when you want to go into engineering, you need maths and physics for most of them. Make sure you look at the subjects you need and you choose accordingly. At this point, in the end of year 12, if you need to go back and retake like year 12 or do an extra subject in your year 13 to catch up, if you've chosen the wrong options, it is worth doing that. But the earlier you find something, the better it is. Don't leave it till late and say, oh, you know what, I hadn't chose this, came to the end of year 12, it's too late to change my options now. My friend, she was looking at doing chemical engineering. She did maths, but she didn't do physics, and instantly majority of like Russell Group universities she couldn't apply to. In engineering, there's no such thing as Russell Group. It doesn't matter as much. I would say stick to uni ofs instead of like Sheffield Hallam or a Manchester Metropolitan University. Stick to uni of something like that, like the main universities. But look at the course modules, look at how it's taught, make sure it suits you. That's all you need. The course modules are important because when you look for a job in the end, you need to be taught the things that the job is looking for. That's it. Um, but yeah, that's all. If anyone has any extra questions, just let me know. Or my LinkedIn is also my name.
I think we've covered all the questions in the chat. Soraya, thank you very much. And thank you for your presentation. It was really detailed and really helpful in as much as you shared a lot of your personal experience. And I think one of the important things that you said was about being kind to yourself and being able to make sure that you look after your well-being, you don't burn out on the academics, that you find a balance in your life so that you get the best out of your university experience. I think that's a really important message to share. So thank you for doing that. What I'd like to do now, if it's okay, I've shared 4 links in the chat with everybody. It's really crucial that you access those links now whilst we're still in the webinar. It gives you access to documents that we've produced at Migrant Leaders to help you think about characteristics and skills that you might want to develop whilst you're still in year 12 and year 13. There's a template for doing action plans, so the goal setting that Soraya spoke about, active learning, which will touch on some of the skills that Daniel spoke about in his presentation earlier on. And then the last document is our tips on preparing for your personal statement. So there's various information there. That is based on work that we've done with professionals that have worked in widening participation and access to universities. So please use that. You'll have heard different ideas from Daniel, Ida, and Soraya. All ideas are good ideas. No one way is always the right way. You have to do what works best for you. The advice and guidance that our 3 speakers have given you today are based on their real lived experience. I'm one of those old fogies that I applied for university back in the 1980s. So, as Daniel said, we studied years ago, so we're not as current as all of you guys. So it's always worth speaking to current undergraduates and listening to what they say. Did you want to add something, Soraya?
Yeah, just a small thing about how to revise. Like a very small section. I have like a sentence thing. Firstly, I forgot to think, but it's a quick like fun fact. You only need chemistry for medicine. So if you don't want to take biology, you don't need to. My friend did maths, physics, and chemistry, and she got into medicine at Manchester. But how to revise? If you get anything less than a B, you don't know your content. Go to YouTube. Go to revision guides. I like looking at the specification and saying, boy, is I need to learn, and then going off of that. The second you've got a B, start practicing exam papers. Not just practicing it, practice it, mark it, practice it in exam conditions. I didn't follow that, and that's what led to my B in further maths. And I learned this during my A levels, so I'm teaching you beforehand. Tried and tested method, by the way. By the way, what was I saying? practice exam questions, like exam papers, not questions, exam papers in exam conditions. What I like to do is I revise for an hour, maximum 2 hours beforehand to make sure I'm revising efficiently. I take a lot of time preparing like my flashcards and posters more than I take to actually revise. In the end, my younger sister revises by blurting on whiteboards and she takes 5 hours, but that's still a way. So don't worry about what way you're using to revise, but soon as you got a B, practice questions, practice exam papers, mark it, go on a YouTube walkthrough and figure out how they think to get get to whatever answer they came up with. And that's for STEM subjects in particular. It's not going to work for SS subjects, but for chemistry, physics, maths, that's what you're using.
That's great, Soraya. Thank you so much. Okay.